Day 32. Quebec City to Parc de la Chute Montmorency. I barely, and I mean barely, slept last night. I woke up quite late as I was fatigued by the lack of sleep. Last night I was unable to sleep. It was so damn hot and humid that even at night I fired up my beast and let the air conditioning run while I tried to sleep. Since my arrival in Toronto much earlier, I've been battling the heat and humidity, and I haven't felt since living in Winnipeg long ago. But awake I was, and it was time to start my day. I fired up my beast with the intention of visiting the famous Parc de la Chute Montmorency. On my way, I stopped by what would appear to be another interesting monument. I stopped by Braves Park, which had a towering pillar at the front entrance. Not wanting to spend too much time exposed to the sun in this already brutally hot morning, I snapped up a few pictures and left. I did take a look at what was inscribed on the plaque, and it appeared to be that this was the location marking a battle between the British and French, where the French came out as victorious. Hopping back into my beast, I took the short but scenic drive along Cote de Beaupre into Parc de la Chute Montmorency. Famous for its waterfall, Parc de la Chute Montmorency was busy with visitors. Since I woke up late, I arrived in the late morning, and by then the parking lot was almost full. After purchasing admittance, I walked to the basin, where I was surprised to find that at the bottom of the waterfall, it was not as full as I expected it to be. Perhaps during the late summer, the water runoff was much lower. I estimated that the water flow would be much higher in the spring. Either way, it was still a beautiful scene. A recently built elevated walkway led pedestrians across a set of train tracks and around the basin at the base of the waterfall. Unfortunately, the construction was not complete, and I could only walk for a certain distance. Again, I didn't want to spend too much time in one spot, as I was already covered in a layer of sweat under my shirt. I took the gondola ride up to the top of the waterfalls, with the beautiful views towards Mont Montmorency and out to the St. Lawrence River. Across from the Parc de la Chute was Orleans Island, and to the east there were many other towns that make up the Cote de Beaupre. I reached the top a few minutes later, where I would find myself surrounded by other tourists. There was a beautiful restaurant with gardens and several vendors selling cold drinks and ice cream. Perfect for a brutally hot Quebec day. There was a pedestrian bridge crossing at the top of the Parc de la Chute Montmorency. I walked across, feeling the sense of anxiety I normally feel when in new areas of heights. Of course, this was nothing compared to walking on the CN Tower as I did earlier in my trip. There was a viewing platform on the opposite end of the waterfall, where I looked back at the numerous people enjoying the views. Further along, there was a covered observation deck adjacent to a picnic area. I walked through a field hastily, as it seemed that every passing minute the temperature was rising higher and higher. I walked past the parking lot that I didn't know existed. Apparently, I could have driven all the way up here just for the view, but then I wouldn't have had the opportunity to ride the gondola, so I made the right choice. I reached the observation deck, where it was rather busy with people enjoying the views of the waterfall and the surrounding natural environment. I even found several athletes running up and down the entire wooden staircase to push themselves to exhaustion. There was a group of people also partaking in the zipline and via Ferrata. I did consider signing up, but since I just did the via Ferrata in Mont Tremblant just a few days ago, and the zipline in Niagara Falls back when I was in Toronto, I thought my time and money would be better spent elsewhere. But perhaps in the future, when I do return to Quebec City, I will partake of these adventures. I made my way to the bottom of the steps, where I was prevented from exploring further due to the incomplete construction. But looking back, I was really enjoying myself here in Parc de la Chute Montmorency. I made my way back up to the top and sat at the shade in one of the free picnic tables. I rested for a while. It was so brutally hot, I felt the energy drain right out of me. After feeling somewhat rested, I walked back to the gondola and took a few pictures of the manor before leaving. When I returned to my beast, I sat for a while enjoying the cold air conditioning before leaving. On the way back to Quebec City, I drove by a beautiful looking church, Saint Louis de Courville. Something about this church beckoned me to stop and take pictures. Quebec is the most Catholic of all the provinces I've visited on this trip so far. With the golden statue of Jesus Christ in the front, I felt a little blessed for being able to experience this once in a lifetime adventure. How many people actually travel from one end of a massive country to another in the middle of a global lockdown? I felt grateful for God in heaven for have given me this, especially considering how miserable I had been for the past year prior to my adventure across the country. Unfortunately, this would be my last day in Quebec City, and I felt like I didn't spend enough time here. I felt the same feeling when I knew I was leaving Montreal. It was a whirlwind of an adventure, but the adventure must continue, as would be the case tomorrow morning.
Subscribe to the Travel Experience, Expérience de Voyage channel. Tap the bell and join the conversation on the comment section below.